What else has Elon found? It's not only $4.7 trillion that we cannot trace. They said the quote was almost impossible to trace. There's also some proposed things like deleting paper checks, which you may go, hey, how much are we really spending on paper checks? I don't know, to the tune of at least $750 million a year on just paper checks. Again, that is the idea of government efficiency, is to modernize things to where you do not have to be worried about these kind of expenses. When you're closer to $1 billion, 3/4 of the way to $1 billion just on paper checks, things can be changed. But let's talk about that 4.7.
That's right. When you look at the way that our government has been operating, it's astounding, really, that the United States is still standing in the way that we are, because this $4.7 trillion in Treasury payments, basically when an agency submits a request for a payment and the Treasury cuts the check, they were not putting the Treasury account symbol in the coding field so they know what that money is for. So they're just cutting checks at the request of agencies and these things. Much of this is appropriated funds or things that were supposed to be spent, as far as we know. But the problem is they weren't coding it when they're cutting the checks. So you have agencies that have a budget, and then you have the Treasury Department that cuts the check for them, and it's impossible to reconcile what payment goes with what line item. If you were a small business and you were not dealing with $4.7 trillion, let's just say $47,000, a small business, you're operating, and you weren't able to reconcile what checks you were writing for what, you know who's knocking on your door? Some of those 87,000 IRS agents that the Biden administration hired.
Does it sound shocking when the quote is just, as of Saturday, it's now a required field, increasing insight into where the money's actually going? Good work. It's funny to me that that's somehow controversial.
Right.
Like that now just making sure we have a line item expenses to make sure you know where not only your money is going, but just where the government themselves, so they know where they're spending their own money. Like I said, we're not oblivious to the idea that the government needs money and is going to be spending taxpayer dollars on something. But if you can't trace trillions of dollars, that is a big problem.
So when you look at what's going on here with the Department of Government Efficiency, this is really a mandate from the people. This was one of the main reasons that President Trump got reelected, among many. But the people were tired of seeing their hard-earned money that was taxed by the government going to programs that they knew were ridiculous, that they knew there was wasteful spending. I don't think we knew to the degree of which there's definitely corruption within the government in some areas. There's definitely waste, fraud, and abuse. But I would say this new category that we're looking at is just incompetence. The fact that the Treasury is just cutting checks but not coding with a Treasury account symbol where these payments correspond with line items, basic, simple accounting practices that they require the American people to do it. Why isn't the government required until now to follow those same practices when they're answering to us? That's our money that they are spending. It's your tax dollars. But then you have to ask, as Logan said, how do we get involved? How can we support this? Other than many people that already voiced their support with their vote last November, this is now being attacked by states attorneys general, by outside groups, are finding any way that they can put a stop to DOGE, the Department of Government Efficiency. And we talked last week that we filed 4 amicus briefs in court supporting the government and DOGE and their being able to continue this work while outside parties are trying to stop it. Now, what does that mean? When the ACLJ files an amicus brief, we have our skilled expert lawyers write the brief and file it in the appropriate case. Those then get read by the judge. They get read by the other parties and see the legal arguments that we're making. And what legal arguments are we making in these cases? That the President of the United States is a unitary executive. He is the branch of government. The President is, in and of himself, a branch of government. What the left has been trying to do, and successfully in many ways for decades, is to isolate the bureaucracies, the agencies that fall under the president's purview as somehow independent of his oversight. And they're using Congress to make laws to try to hamper him. That's not an oversight role of Congress. That's them impeding the function of a co-equal branch of government. And so when they file and say, look, this violates things like Administrative Procedures Act, or this isn't done the way that we think as Congress it should have been done, they're not allowing the president to have oversight of agencies under his direct oversight. And so that's what we're arguing. Our attorneys are experts in constitutional law, but also because of work over the past 8 years in presidential power. So when we make an argument before the court, it's heard and it's looked at very seriously.
We are so excited to announce the ACLJ's brand new app, completely redesigned to provide you with the best tools available to partner with us at the ACLJ. You can watch the daily Seculo program, sign the petitions, customize your ACLJ membership experience, donate with the click of a button, and receive up-to-the-minute critical updates that the mainstream media can't censor. Just scan the QR code on your screen or go to your phone's app store, search ACLJ, and click install. It's that simple.